And if something confuses you, raise it up. This is the safe learning space, and I want us to engage as such. So if we have a deal, I need some fire emojis right now in the chat box. If we have a deal, not thumbs up this time. Give me some fire emojis in the chat. If I'm not seeing fire emoji, for those who know how to use that emoji. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Who is giving me bomb? I beg go. I beg, I beg, I beg. Let's the countdown. All right. I want us to do something fun. We're going to introduce ourselves, and we're going to be utilizing the chat box for this. So it's very simple. I need you to type in your name, your location, what industry you're working at, or what your job function is, and then you tell us what best describe you, your PMP journey at this point. So I'm going to kick it off. So my name is David Patton, and joining from Lagos. I'm in the consulting industry, and where am I right now? I'm PMP class. So if what describes you right now is, I'm just interested in PMP, put it there. If what interest, what at the stage you're at right now is, I'm about to write my exam, I've written my exam, or I'm confused, I'm still gathering my money, I'm still saving my 2020 naira every week. Just put it there in the chat box. Let me go to the chat box and see what is going on there. All right, I'm yet to see name. Okay, Sophia, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Who else? Who else? Who else is on this call? I have over 20 persons on this call. I need to see names. I need to see names. Drop your names and your location. If you are in Nigeria and you don't want to manifest Nigeria, you want to manifest, Seychelles. Put in Seychelles. Let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see. Who else? Okay, I need to see those names. Type in your name, type in your name, type in your name. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. I have just one name here. Okay, Cyril, South Africa. Renewable. I have connection. Cyril, I think I'm going to collect your number after this in case somebody, it's good to say I have connect in South Africa. Sanderson, that's a very wonderful name. From Port Harcourt. Pitakwa person. Okay, you work in the creative. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, I'm seeing a name that is definitely going to spoil my face. So I'm seeing Onegiyerabam. Hallelujah. All right. Fine face. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Working Union of Broadcasting. Wonderful having you here. Hello, Gloria. Welcome. Let's keep the name coming in. Wapa. Oh, Lord God Almighty. Okay. we are all, we are all welcome this evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's very wonderful having you on the call. All right. So if you join or you have a friend who joined, just from them to drop their name, drop where they're joining us from, and also where they are at their PMP journey. And we will make sure we look into that as we move forward. All right. So, like I said, my name is David, and let me quickly introduce you to Zeno Consulting. Now, Zeno Consulting is a project-oriented consulting firm, and we are focused on delivering tailored and high-impact solutions to both individuals and organizations across Africa and beyond. Now, what does this simply mean? Behind the big English, we sit at the intersection of people, projects, and tools. We train, we build systems, we build capacity, we build career, we build delivery excellence. And our work is deeply human-centered, which is one of the reasons we are gathered here this evening. Meaning we don't just care about certificates, they are very much important. However, we care about transformation. So when we say we want you to pass your PMP, we don't just say it, we actually mean it. We mean that we want you to become the kind of project manager that organizations will fight to keep, giving you the advantage to sit back and handle and lead the conversation and negotiation. All right. Let me see more names on the chat box. Do I have more names? All right. Divine, nice having you here too. Oluwatimilehin. I know people think I'm Yoruba now, but at least this one is safe to pronounce. Samuel, you're welcome. Rosine, you're welcome. Loyal, you're welcome. Immaculate, You're welcome. You're all welcome to today's class. Okay, without wasting much of our time, I want us to, before I reveal something very unique about our first trainer this evening, I would like us to type something. How do you intend to spend your Valentine today? Tomorrow, rather. What's your plan? This is a safe space for the single. So if you're single, please, this is not an attack on you. But I need you to just type in the chat box. How do you intend to celebrate your Valentine tomorrow? Because for those people who had so much plans, it was sweet to me. It was sweet to me when I saw some publications like that, and I saw somebody's putting house emoji, and I saw the federal government putting a restriction on those who want to do money bouquet. I was like, oh, oh, oh. Either way, you are not permitted to celebrate Valentine if you are not going to write your PMP. What you should be doing is reading. Don't go out. So I want to see in the chat box. I'm single. I'll be praying for my PMP. Oh, I just made a new best friend. Cyril, you're my bestie for today. This is what we're talking about. Sit back at home and then read. Oh, Cyril. All right, all right. I need to see ideas. What are we doing for tomorrow? What are we doing for tomorrow? Are we going out? Are we sleeping all through? For those who are single, for those who have somebody, just maybe tomorrow they might serve you breakfast. Who knows? But whatever be the case, wish each and everyone a happy Valentine tomorrow. All right. So joining us this evening is none other than the managing partner of Zenal Consulting Limited, in the person of Susan Ozenogo. I need to see some emojis. Give me some emojis. Put those hands together. Put those hands together. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So first off, Susan Ozenogo is the managing partner of Zenal Consulting, like I said, and she has trained a combination of over 1,200 professionals, in fact. And then she has worked with organizations like Wema Bank. She has worked with organizations like NLNG, Chevron, MTN, Bank of Industry, Indeed, Wikimedia Foundation, and so much more. Susan is a laughter. She's her second name is laughter. And a unique fact about her is she loves flowers. Like if she's walking on the road and it just happens to be flowers on that road, the journey that would take 10 minutes would take 25 minutes because she would take pictures of all the flowers that she will see. She's a flower girly. And then we also have a unique name for her, and we call her the Minister of Joy. Now, above the certifications like PMP, CBAP, PMI, from the biggest strength that she has is real life project experience. And that is what she'll be sharing with us this evening. Hi, Susan. You look ravishing, by the way. You look like you've rested.
David, I've been saying this thing that you need to go and find your calling. I think you need to be an event MC, actually. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. The first thing we're going to be talking about, and I'll take over from David in a bit in sharing my screen. We'll just be talking about an introduction to PMP. Can I have a response in the chat, please? David had asked questions about where we are in our PMP journey. I want to know when we want to write our exam, just so I can, have a sense of it, because we are in sensitive times in the PMP landscape is changing. By July, there'll be a new exam that is focused on the PMBOK 8. But if you are writing before July, you'll be writing from the PM Box 7. Can we have people who aren't speaking or asking questions muted? Thank you very much. All right. Okay. Oh, I like this. This someone is writing on the 23rd of February. So you're ready. Well done. I hope you're preparing very well. Please feel free to ask questions here. Ask your questions. Don't wait until we have something on the screen about questions. Go straight ahead and ask your questions as much as possible. All right. Let me see. Okay. Let me know that we can see my screen. We can still hear me. We can still see me. All right. Okay. Why did you invest? For those of us who have already paid for our exams, why did we invest in the PMP? I want to reassure you that you did not waste your money. The PMP is still the world's leading project management certification. It is still the world global standard in project management. Yes, the project management landscape is changing. Yes, even global job market is changing. The skills that we need are changing, especially with the rise of AI infused everything. AI infused everything. But we want to tell you that PMP is still very much relevant and you're in the right place. Okay, so if you are writing before July, as some of us have mentioned, Gloria, we will talk about the PM Book 8, and anybody else that wants to write after July, what we're going to talk about today would also be relevant to the PM Book 8. But this description, these three performance domains, is for the PM Book 7. So the PM Book 7 has three main domains that we base on, and there's a reason why we have to discuss this part, right? So basically, PMP is saying that they want to, as if someone is a project manager, let me go back a little bit to the beginning. If you say you are a professional as a project manager, then it means that first of all, you work by and live by the principles of project management. And as at PM Book 7, there were 12 of them, 12 principles. The PM Book 8 now has 6 principles, basically the same 12, but they've condensed the 12 of them into 6. So you work according to these principles. You make your decisions according to these principles, right? And the work that you do as a project manager, the examination body is saying that they want to see, or they're testing you on 50% of that work being process driven, in the sense of, oh, when do you close a project? What do you do before you close a project? What do you do after you've issued out procurement slips? What do you do after you negotiated with your team members? So step by step, what are the processes going to look like? It's 50% of the exam. And the 42% of the exam is your relationship with people. When you say people in projects in PMP, you're talking about the team and the stakeholders. Remember that your internal project team are part of the stakeholders as well. So let's not forget them. And then you have your business environment. By the version 8, we're going to see more questions coming in from the business environment in terms of how do we manage regulators, how do we manage our industry, how do we make sure we are keeping up with industry standards and the like. All right, let's talk a little bit about eligibility requirements, because if you are I mean, if you've already written your exam, then this is not sorry, if you've already, registered for your exam, then that's not for you. But for those of us on the call and who will be rewatching, who haven't yet registered, they would need this information. Sorry, I was just checking the chats. Remember, I said we can ask our questions at any time. I'll have pauses in between to answer the questions as they come in. All right. So what are the requirements for writing PMP? First of all, you have to have your standard education. So if you have a master's degree or higher, then you're going to have to prove at least 24 months, 24 consecutive months of corporate project management experience. And I'll explain that a little bit. If you do have a 4-year degree, your first degree, a bachelor's, you need to show 36 months of corporate project management experience. If you have I can't remember what it's called. I'll check. Secondary school education as your highest degree, but you have been working for a while, then you would have to show, you would have to prove 6 years. I think that's 72. Yeah, about 72 months of unique and corporate project management experience. Then we also need to complete 35 contact hours of project management education by an ATP. An ATP is an authorized training partner of PMI, which Zeno Consulting is. Okay. Cyril, I do believe we will receive a recording. Yes. Okay. So I'm still talking a little bit about the eligibility requirements. If you have been working for more than 3 years, but you feel like, Susan, I don't really think I am eligible for this exam since my title at work hasn't been project manager. Okay. By the time you learn or you attend the PMP class and you learn what a project is and you learn the basics and the foundations, you would realize that most of the work that you have been doing in your corporate environment, you can recategorize them as project management. Okay. All right. So we're done with eligibility requirements. Let's look at what you need to prove in the registration. So you must have your 35 contact hours, which if you join our class coming up in March, you will, be eligible for, you would have the certification after the first month of the boot camp and after the 5 days of the 5-day class. So there are two types of PMP classes that we hold. So I already mentioned the type of the minimum months of experience that you need to show. But what does that have to look like? So that experience must show you leading and directing projects. So yes, you have other activities that your job required in those 3 years, but what you are reporting are the actual projects that you manage while on the job. Okay, so you show an example or up to 3-4 examples of that over the period of the 3 years. Okay. And then if you have overlapping projects, so for example, you started a project February of last year and you are still ongoing, the project is still ongoing. You started another project September of last year and the project is ending now. So you would see that this project 2 is overlapping completely under project 1. Unfortunately, project 2 will not be counted because project 1 already covers that gap. So you need to have, even when you have projects that overlap, you need to have from the beginning, from the first project to the last project, and overlapping 36 hours and 36 months. That's for people who have just the first degree. All right. Let me know if we are comfortable with all of that information. We don't need any more about, general speaking about the exam. Okay, so the exam has 180 questions. The new exam will also have 180 questions. They made some changes to the division of the questions, so how they have changed, like what kind of questions you would see in each section, but the number of questions is still the same. Okay, the questions are situational. What does that mean? Now, the PMP is not testing your knowledge. They are testing your application of the knowledge. And that is why one of the important part of your study techniques, and Sophia is going to take that part, is doing your practice exams. You cannot avoid it. I would say dedicate about 70% of your study time to taking practice exams because that simulates the real life project, like the real life exam situation. So you cannot test it with just reading and trying to say, okay, maybe you do the what does this mean, and you start to cram the definitions. There are a lot of there are a lot of definitions in project management, and some of us might have read more voluminous books. Some of us might have a lot of degrees, and the content might not be so much for us, but averagely it is a lot of content to take in. The advice is not to try and cram anything. The advice is to learn the principles and begin to understand the situational question. So when you put yourself in that situation as a project manager, what would you do next? So not what is the best thing to do, but what is the next thing to do? And I'll show you something else to explain that a little bit more. There are breaks in between. Use your breaks as much as possible, but know that when you come back from the break, you cannot return to review the section you have completed. So you do questions 1 to 60. You have a little break. You can review before you go on your break, but you will not be allowed to go back to section 1 to 30 after your break. It is a long exam. If you haven't taken a 3-hour or a 4-hour exam in a while, you should practice by taking the full practice exams at a stretch. Because if you're practicing with only, and this is especially for those who have the exam coming up soon, if you're practicing with only the maybe you have 50 questions and you write your answers, you spend like 2 hours on it, and then you find because I did that as well. And then I noticed that you would be you would perform better in those shorter sessions. So you have 20 questions, 30 questions, and you're doing well. But by the time you actually sit down for 3.5 hours and attempt 180 questions, maybe you take out a Saturday like tomorrow to practice 180 questions, you'll realize how draining it can be. And you need to train, like you need to train your endurance to prepare for that, because your brain will be fatigued as you progress in the exam. All right. I'm going to answer some questions now. Cyril, I'm going to say something. Don't quote me. Don't quote me. I'm going to say something that is funny. You can pass the PMP without ever opening the PM Box 7. I said, don't quote me. Now, but you cannot pass the PMP if you do not do practice exam. Because it's not testing again your knowledge. You're not cramming the definitions, you're not cramming the process flow. What you need to understand is, how does a project manager behave in this situation? And if you've never been put in that situation, you will not imagine it. So it's the practice exams that will give you opportunities to expose yourself to that situation. And by the time you've failed a couple questions, you will get more familiar with the way the PMI asks those questions. Okay, so don't worry about taking your practice questions too early. Don't feel bad about failing them. Know that failing at the initial stage is a rite of passage. By the time you're ready for your exam, you should be getting about 75, 70, 80% pass mark, and your confidence should have improved. I'll answer another question. If you have a second, so anything after second degree is 3 years of experience, as opposed to it's 2 years of experience, as opposed to the first degree is 3 years of experience. So that's 24 months of corporate project management experience. What I mean by corporate project management experience is, if you are the life of the party, you're the person that your colleagues and your friends call to say, oh, I'm having a birthday party, I'm having this, and you throw parties for you, organize the party for them. You're the organizer in your friend group. yes, technically you have been performing the role of a project manager, but that is not the kind of experience you can apply to PMP with. You have to be able to say, in this particular company, I worked with, these people, because when PMP does the audit, and I don't think I have a slide on the audit, but I'll talk about it. I've been audited before for one of my PMI certifications, not PMP. And honestly, if you go about the registration the right way, which you will if you work with me, you will have everything you need. You typically when you apply, and I think we're talking about application next. Are we? Am I talking about application? Okay, registration and application. Um, if you apply, you have 5 working days until PMI gets back to you with your application status. So either you have been approved and you can pay for your exam and then set your exam date. When you pay for your exam, you don't have to set your exam date immediately. And so it takes them 5 days. But if, for whatever reason, because the auditing is random, they're not targeting you. It's not your village. If you're audited, it's not your village people. It's just random. So you're randomly audited. They ask you to provide certain confirmation of documents. You said you have a second degree. Please provide that certificate. You said you worked at so and so place. Can you give us a contact there that can vouch for you? You said you've done 35 hours of training with an authorized training partner. Please provide that certificate. So once I provided that, my application was approved instantly. So what would have taken 5 days now took 2 days, right? So don't be afraid of being audited. Just make sure you just go through all the process to do the registration. Okay. Because we have in this class, and this is not a project management training class, we're not teaching what is project management here. We are saying, how do you pass your exam? And if you are following, you must have heard me countedly say time and time again, you need what? Practice test. We are going to give you access, or we're going to show you where to find the most reliable practice test. We have a few gifts for you at the end of the class, so please stay tuned. I'm gonna, we're gonna treat you nice. Okay, so we have said earlier that you don't need to memorize. You cannot memorize well. Again, some people have super brains. I would love to be your friend, but you should not you should not have to memorize the entire PM book 7 or 8, depending on when you are writing your own exam. I wrote version 6. And I've never taught version 6. I've been teaching version 7, and I've been preparing to teach version 8 as well. I was very scared of the math in version 6. So in version 6, we had a whole lot of pages where we had to calculate formulas, and then version 7 kind of reduced it a little bit. Version 8, we still have those calculations, but those calculations are not advanced. You do not need calculator to get it. You just need an understanding. Some of them, they put out those numbers to confuse you. If you really know what you are doing, you just look at it and say, and this is the answer. It doesn't really need you to calculate like that. So know that and know peace. I have had several students who have said they've crammed an entire sheet of formulas in preparation for the exam, and then the questions that had formulas were just like 2, and it was not the formulas that they really needed to cram. It was just something that they needed to understand. CPI, cost performance index, if it's greater than 1, if it's more than 1, what are you calculating? If it's, you can see, no matter the percentage, you can see that it's greater than 1 or that it's less than 1. You don't need to have a lot of project management experience. Now, I don't want to discount our Egbon in the game. For those of you who are not Nigerian or Yoruba, our senior brothers and sisters in the game, those who have decades of experience in project management. Unfortunately for them, I've noticed in my experience teaching more advanced students that their years of experience works against them rather than in their favor for this exam. Because if you are using the knowledge of this is how I manage projects, and you've not unlearned it, by the time you're coming to the exam hall, instead of using the PMI mindset, you're using the mindset of how I manage projects in the office, then likely your answers in those situational questions might be wrong. I'll give you a few tips on the kind of answers that just naturally is, you just know that this is the answer. So we'll come to that when we're talking about the PMI mindset, which is what we have next. Okay, so what I said you do need to have the PM mindset. You need to have, you need to be able to fluctuate switch between agile, hybrid, predictive. What does that mean? So there are some questions where the exam is asking, in this type of environment, the agile project manager does this. The answer might be a little different from the project manager does this. Let me see the simple reason why. In an agile environment, the project manager is not Lord and Master over all. Rather, he's a servant leader. He's there to sell food and water. In my case, sometimes that's literally food and water. I'm like, how can I help you? How can I help you? What do you need? All right. And the team is self-managed. They are self-managed, they are self-organized. And so if it is an agile environment, know that your job as a because you look at, you'll find those, what they are keywords that will help you to realize that, wait, this is not a predictive environment. This is an agile environment they are talking about in this situation. So if it's that, you'll notice, oh, they say mention anything about Scrum. They mention, oh, you are the coach. You are, if they refer to you as the Scrum Master, or the Agile Project Manager, or the Agile Coach, then you know automatically it's an Agile environment. Or they talk about the way that the team is working, and they're talking about the team being self-organized, the team doing things, then you realize that, oh, this is not a predictive environment. And so in Agile environments, the project manager does not interfere. Two people are fighting, they're having conflict. Your answer cannot be that you can't tell them what to do. That will not be the correct answer. So regardless of the option, just know that the project manager does not interfere, the project manager's job is to help them come to, their self-management, come to the realization of what to do next. So they take action by themselves. They lead, they carry out the work by themselves. And so the project manager would not find the solution for them. They might have a meeting to collaborate and figure out what the next steps will be. So where you have any question that has to do with conflict or communication, please know that most likely the right answer or the next answer will be something related to collaboration or collaborating with the team. And then we also talked about this full-length simulation. Remember that I said, if you are taking only 20 question tests, it doesn't feel the same as taking a whole 3-hour test. You'll feel the burn, and you feel that your pass mark will shake a little. Hi, Cyril. Do you want to contribute something to the class?
Hi, ma'am. Thank you very much for the insightful content. I just wanted to find out something. Do you normally accommodate candidates who are writing soon on a one-on-one consultation in terms of to prepare them in terms of preparing for the exam? Do you normally, or you do it on a group level to accommodate one-on-one sessions with the student?
Can we have that conversation after the class? Thank you very much, Cyril. We'll reach out to you. All right. Okay. So can we keep the questions? And I love that. I love the question. Thank you very much. We'll definitely reach out to you about that. So can we have questions about, again, for those of us that are preparing for the exam already, If you have trouble questions, you can put them in the chat. If you have something that you've been struggling with, if you want to make the decision, but you're not yet sure, and you have something that is stopping you, this is the time to, ask that question, please. All right. So what do we mean by the PMI mindset? Yes, Cyril.
Yes, I have a problem in terms of when you get a question. I'm writing my exam end of March, but one thing that I've realized, as much as I've got experience in project management, but the side of the PMI is got a different approach. I've got a problem in terms of understanding. Let's say a question. You will have a agile question, you will have a hybrid, you will have a waterfall question. I tend to be confused. How do you see a question from the way it posed, that which category does it fall to? If it fall under agile, if it fall under, I'm a bit confused, because I think when it fall under agile or waterfall, it will be easy for you to know the process to apply. So is there a way which is easier for a candidate to see this question is agile, this question is predictive, this question is hybrid? Because I tend to be confused. How do you structure the question from seeing if this one fall under this category? So for me personally, as much as I've run project, but I can't differentiate. How do you see the question, the way it posed, which category does it fit into? Is there maybe a methodology that I can use to see, maybe based on the keywords, this one is agile? Because I know your waterfall, it's more like you're looping in, looping out up until the end. But now you're hybrid. How will I be able to tell? Let's say maybe they say the Scrum Master. I know it will fall under agile, but is there an approach that I can tell from the question, just for someone who's new to this PMI environment, to say this one is falling under this easily? Because sometimes I get too confused. Is it a predictive? Is it an agile? Is it a waterfall? Is there a technique that you can master as someone who's going to write to see this question is falling under which category? Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that question. Very thoughtful one. So you've mentioned a couple of those words, and we are sharing some guides. We'll share a few of those words in the guide, but I'll mention a few of the words, and please help me, all our project management enthusiasts in the house. Please drop in the comments some words that you already know, that if you see that word in the exam, you can identify that the environment that they're talking about is it's an agile or an adaptive environment. So I've mentioned some already. Servant leader, you know that's not the normal project manager. Scrum master, you know that's not the normal project manager. You hear this team is a self-organizing team. They've not said anything else about the team other than they are a self-managed, self-organizing team. That is describing an agile team. Or they mention how they are changing requirements, and you're realizing, oh, they did not follow any formal change control method. That is an agile project. They mention a product owner. You know that the product owner is not found in a predictive. They mention retrospective, daily stand-up, velocity, iteration, user stories, sprints. Is anybody helping me with more answers? Thank you. Anybody? Any help? Are we leaving Susan and Cyril alone here? Okay, so we will share some questions, and I answered that in an earlier PMI webinar I had this week. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of commitment that it requires to pass this exam. I'm not swearing for you. I promise I'm not swearing for you. But if you cannot afford to spend an hour every day before this exam, you cannot afford to spend 3 hours practicing your exam questions weeks leading up to the exam, you're bound to fail. You're bound to fail. You have to understand your workload reality. Yes, you have family responsibilities, you have your job, you have other things that you're doing, but you've managed projects before. This is a project. Preparing for your PMP exam is a project. And so you have to factor in the time commitment that is required to pass this exam. What does that look like? For me, I write my daily to-dos every day. If I don't write it, I feel crazy. I write my daily to-dos every day. And in my calendar, I'm planning what am I going to do. Now, you don't wait until, oh, I'll have time in the evening. When I have time, when I close from work, I will go and read. Ah, that's a sign of someone that wants to fail. And you waste $575, please don't do that. What you need to do is you need to plan around, you need to create a study guide. And this is also, I'm giving tips, but this is also something that we have prepared for you. Your study guide will basically tell you this is the time that you have prepared for your study, and you put that time on your calendar, you block it out, you're not doing anything else. So if you are the midnight owl, you prepare in the night, you like to read in the night. If you're like me, that first thing in the morning, you want to read, prepare for your exam, you know what works best for you, use that. Now, knowing exam strategy, Sophia is going to talk a little bit about exam strategy. You also want to have a good attitude towards this. Your mental states will be greatly affected by, or rather, your performance will be greatly affected by your mental state in the exam. So don't take it for granted. I'm not saying be doing I'm going to pass my PMP exam and then you don't practice and you don't read. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying have a positive attitude. Yes, it is difficult, but you have done hard things before. You've probably done things that are even harder, just that you did not realize that it was harder than PMP. By the time you have finished PMP, that's when you now say, okay, actually, it was not that bad. You want to have endurance and persistence. I have some people on the call that I know that they've been worried that, they've been reaching out, coach, I'm failing this my practice test too. And I say, just keep on practicing. Keep on practicing. The earlier you start failing the practice test, the better for you. You don't even need to wait until you finish doing the whole, like learning the whole 35 PDUs before you can start practicing. Focus on what you need to focus on. If you Google PMP materials and just allow yourself to be swayed by all the overload of information, honestly, I'm telling you, you'll get confused, you get overwhelmed. You need to focus. You don't need too many things to pass this exam. I've mentioned the things that you need, and PM Box 7 was not one of them. You don't need to read PM Box 7 from cover to cover. You can read it as a guide, or when you, for example, when you finish your course and during your course, you can follow along with your lecturer or your teacher. And when you finish your course, when you're practicing exams, when you fail a question and you're trying to understand why you failed that question, because that's something that you must do. You must go back to see those questions you failed. Why did you fail them? Sometimes the questions you passed, if you guessed, why was it correct? So you read again, and it's that reading back that you probably use your PM Box 7 to search for. Just Control F and then search for those keywords and read more about them rather than reading the book end to end. Again, reading the book end to end is not the best use of your time. If you have 3 hours to read the book end to end, use it and do what? Practice exams. Thanks and God bless. Accountability. Don't keep on pushing the work forward. If you are part of a group, or if you, hi Rosine, oh, I sent it to the organizers. Maybe send them a reminder, but I already sent it to them. Okay, so your accountability, if you need to have someone to push you, maybe your family member, your spouse, if you are part of a group, part of a class, the members of your class can also help with the accountability to make sure you don't lose the momentum. Because if you start taking your exams and you start taking your practice exams and you lose touch with it, maybe you stopped reading for like maybe 2 weeks, before you know it, you lose interest in this, and the time will go before you actually write your exam. Okay, for those of us that want to write PM Book 8, that the exam is changing in July. The exam change is one of the things that it's embracing is AI. Another thing that is embracing is embracing, how do I put this now? It is embracing the fact that you, as a project, I value, I vehicle of value delivery. Let me say that again. Projects are a vehicle of value delivery, and the way that the PM Book 8 questions would look like is just about how do we deliver value. So it's not going to be focused on any of the principles, any of the performance domains, any of the step-by-step. Oh, after you do initiating, you do planning, then you do executing, then you do monitoring and controlling and closing. None of that. It's definitely going to have distributed teams, AI augmented teams. You're going to see a lot of synergy between working with the teams and working with AI. So those are some of the basic changes. Other than that, some of the definitions have been updated. Some of the I think it's an easier read. I haven't finished it, but I have read considerably the PM Book 8, and I think it's an easier read to the PM Book 7. But if you've already been preparing for the PM Book 7 and your exam is after July, don't be afraid. It's not going to be such a big change in your preparation. Okay, let's do a little practice test for my people. Let's put our answers in the chat, please. Have we heard of this term before, Sprint Zero? A newly formed development team is working on Sprint Zero in terms of doing the following activities, which is false. Please put your answers A, B, C, or D. A, B, C, or D. Anybody? Nobody's contributing to our class. You would all to do practice exams. After I told you that practice exams is the key to passing your exam, which is false. Not the answer, not which is true, not what we do in Sprint Zero, but what do we not do in Sprint Zero? Anybody? Okay, Samuel and Sanderson, Jessica, okay? Thank you, everybody. Okay, so the answer is D. So we do not deliver stories. We do not develop a detailed plan. We do not complete the entire architecture. Sprint Zero is basically a period where it's like initiating in predictive. It's like we are just preparing to start the work, setting up an environment, right? So we're not delivering the work. We're not doing any detailed planning. Let's take another practice exam and practice tests, a question. I'm going to hand over to Sophia in a bit, and I'll still be here to answer any questions we have. Sophia, are you ready? A project manager is working on a complex project that requires expertise in negotiation skills. What should the project manager do to persuade the stakeholders to accept the proposed viewpoint? Should they A, discuss the business case for the project? Should they understand the reasons for potential disagreement? Should they establish the schedule and contingency method? Should they assess the risk of unsuccessful negotiation? Please answer. So the important thing is not passing our practice questions. The important thing is knowing why we passed or we failed the practice questions. All right. I want to see some answers, please. Okay. Okay, almost everyone is saying A. So yes, definitely we would want to discuss the business case. But see, the question is asking what should they do to persuade stakeholders to accept the proposed viewpoint? Now, stakeholder management is very important. You need to understand why your stakeholder you need to understand the stakeholder biases that they have. You need to understand the reason why they will not agree with you. So the answer is C. So that you can prepare for it, so that you can prepare to say, oh, I know that you're thinking of this, but these are also some benefits. So the stakeholders will probably already have the business case for the project. This is a document that is widely available for all those people that are on the project. Okay. All right. So those are just two questions that we are testing. We'll see some other ones if we have some more time, but let's ask some questions now. I'm gonna give us some time. Okay, if we have no questions, yes, you can connect with me, you can connect with Zeno Consulting, you can reach out to us to talk about your project management training and preparing for your exam. All right, please get some water. We are still together. Don't go off the screen. I'm handing over back to David now. Thank you, everybody. David, have you left me? Have you gone to go and boil beans?
I'm boiling something, but not beans. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, we've got like 2-3 minutes maximum to, stretch, and then we'll be coming back and we'll have Sophia pick up the next part of this session, and yeah, it's going to be wonderful. So it's now 2 minutes.
Sandra Sin, you can ask your question. Onengie, thank you. You're welcome. David, that's how to pronounce the name, Onengie.
Hello, Susan. Good evening. Actually,
Yeah.
I was typing. Good evening, everyone. It's good
Good
to
evening.
join this meeting tonight. Thank you for all the insights you've shared so far. Okay, so I have a question. I've been practicing project management for the past 2 years, although in my other roles, I've been doing project, but not in depth. So officially, I've been practicing project management for the past 2 years now, but in the creative and development sector. So what we do is that we implement projects, we deploy projects around the TVET sector. And so my question basically is that, so during the course of my job role, I did not actually do a lot of technical project management. So my project management will just revolve around, will I say, the old school kind of tax delivery. I didn't really use this a lot of technical tools in practicing. And also my company I'm working with is a startup. So we have been trying to avoid so much overhead cost in getting softwares and all of that. So we're just doing more of the basic project management, although we had big contracts, but we're just trying to find our way around and executing the projects. So now asking for a case like this, I know a little about Scrum and all that, the agile waterfall and all that in reading. Because I have MBA, I have MPhil, and I'm doing a PhD. So in reading, I have a lot of knowledge regarding that. But now we're talking about implementation. What have you been doing? How are scenario questions now? I really don't know how I'm going to go about this. So I
Okay.
want, because I really don't know how I'm going to go about this, because I really don't know how a lot of technical knowledge
I
about
get I get you,
project.
Sanderson. I get you,
Yeah.
Sanderson. So I'll answer two of those questions because I heard two there. The first one is, how do you document your project experience, because you've only had 2 years of corporate project management experience in your, in what
Yes.
you're saying, but you have worked in corporate organizations for more than 2 years, right?
Yes, I have.
You are eligible. You're eligible. Join the class, we'll get you registered. The second question is, I haven't been doing a lot of technical project management. I haven't been using the tools, the technical project management tools. Now, there's so I have taught about 17 different types of project management courses, and people will say, oh, should I do this one as well? Should I do this one as well? I'm like, if you're not a trainer, you don't need all of these things. Like, you just need the one that you're going to use. Like, when you need to use Jira, that's when you should use Jira. You shouldn't have to learn Jira, learn Trello, learn Asana, learn Microsoft projects. You don't have to learn all the tools. So the tool that your organization uses at the time that you are going to work with that organization, it shouldn't take you too long. You watch YouTube tutorial, you will learn it, you will figure it out. So don't bother yourself too much about not having the technical know-how of those tools for practical use. And it's not going to come up in your exam. This exam is very academic, so you're going to do very well. Let me go back to David. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan, and thank you for your question. Okay, to answer one more question before we move on to the next session, someone asked in the comment section, do I really need to know Scrum in detail to help me write PMP? The answer to that is no, you do not need to become a Scrum Master to write your PMP. However, you do need to know Agile principles and how Scrum works, especially in high levels. That being said, I'd like us to move on to the next session. Next up, we'll be having Sophia Dawudu speak to us. And she is someone who has a very wonderful secret to success. And pardon me, Sophia, but I'll be sharing your secrets with the entire audience tonight. Sophia believes that for you to succeed every day, when you wake up, make sure you eat correct eba and egusi soup very early in the morning before it is 7 a.m. Make sure you swallow strong eba, not the watery type, the thick type, and egusi soup, precisely egusi soup. And that's the secret to her success. And aside that, Sophia Dawudu is a certified project manager and operations lead with over 4 years of experience, and she is also a Scrum Master, someone very known for her collaborative and growth-focused approach. And she's here to take us on the second part of this class. Who said this? Hi, Sophia. Can you hear?
Hi, David. David, you think you have exposed me, but you have also exposed yourself. Because now we know that you can't keep secrets. What a shame. But anyways, I'm always happy to share my success secrets. As project managers, we do a lot of thinking, a lot of managing, a lot of organizing. We need the energy and the strength. And nothing does that better than good carbs. So I'm not a professional. From personal experience, that is my recommendation. All right. It's great to have everybody here. I see that we are all attentive. I'm sure that we've learned a lot from that session with Susan. Susan, thank you so much. If you've learned a lot today, please use your emoji. I want to see some activity. I want to see some excitement, and you're ready for the next part. So yes, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm also excited. I mean, this is not an easy thing to do. PMP is not a joke. It takes a lot of work, hard work. It takes a lot of dedication and application of oneself. And I think it's a testament of your grit and your desire to continue growing. So well done to everybody. David, I'm going to take over now so I can share my screen, if you don't mind. And so sorry, I won't be turning on my video. My bandwidth, I'm trying to conserve bandwidth right now. And if you're in Nigeria, I'm sure you can relate and you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, forgive me. All right. Okay, so before we get started, Susan has done an amazing job of telling us what the strategy is to passing your exam. So if you have been listening at this point, there is no way you don't know what you need to do to pass your exam. If you know, raise your hand. If you know, just use your emoji, respond with your emoji. If you know what you need to do now to pass your PMP exam, please just respond. No response, so we don't know. Only Eden knows. Oh my goodness. What is going on here? Sandra knows as well. You don't know. Hey, fine face. You've not been paying attention. Is that what it is? Very good. Yes. If you don't know, if you are not listening, if you're not aware, Rosine has given us the correct answer. We need to practice. It's not by how often or how well you can read or the number of times you read your PM book cover to cover. That won't do anything for you. You have to practice. And can somebody tell me why we need to practice? I used to call names, so if you don't volunteer yourself, I'm just going to call at random. Can somebody tell me why you need to practice to pass your PMP? No names. Nobody is volunteering. Loyal, do you want to take that? Okay, to develop the PMP mindset, yes. Yes, to be used to the type of questions, yes. Rosen has been listening. Fine face, you were also pretending as if you were not listening, but you were listening. Look at you. Who else? To train your endurance level. Well done. In fact, I think at this point, you guys are ready. You guys are ready. So For the next couple, or for those that are writing before July, and even those that are writing after July, what should be your mantra? Practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. That should be your mantra. So anything that you're going to be doing now is focusing on practicing. Now that you know the strategy, why am I here? I'm just here to let you know first why you need this strategy to pass your exam. How do you implement this strategy? You know that you can work hard and be working hard in the wrong direction. I hope you know that. You can be practicing where you're not supposed. You can be practicing wrongly. Any of us has ever read and studied and done your best for an exam but still failed? Has it happened to anybody here? I'm speaking from experience. Rosin, you're laughing. I'm guessing you have experience. Okay. Fine face, you too. Yes. So it's possible for you to practice. It's possible for you to learn. It's possible for you to apply yourself and still fail if you are doing that in the wrong direction. So that's what we want to discuss now. That's what we want you to have. That's what we want to have the conversation around. So why do you need a strategy to pass your exam? The first is the content gap. Now, like we've established earlier, reading the PMP guide is not enough. If you've done your what you're supposed to do, you've done your practice test, you've attended your classes and your lectures, sometimes some things might just get like really hazy, or you need to brush up on a certain topic. You've done your practice test now, maybe for the process domain, you're saying that, oh my goodness, I'm actually struggling here because I don't know certain terms. That's what your PM book is there for. So you can easily go back to your PM book, brush up, and but then that doesn't mean you have to read it end to end. What you must do is to master the exam content outline, because that's this true syllabus. Now your exam is domain based. Susan has gone over that earlier. We're saying that in the people domain, you have to have at least that the questions are about 42%, 50% for the process domain, and for business environment, 8%. I think that has changed for PMBOK 8 now. I think it's about 33% for people, 48 for process, and it's been increased for business environment as well. So depending on the exam that you have, or that you know, or that you're writing rather, then you make your adjustments and know where to put your focus on. Then another reason is that Susan also mentioned something earlier, and that is having your agile/hybrid fluency. A lot of your questions are going to come from this, and you need to be able to be fluent, including in terminologies, including the terminology. So imagine, and this is where sometimes confusions come in, because a lot of the questions are application based. Nobody's asking you to define this or list that or do this. Nobody's testing your memorization skills. Now, your ability to understand the question also depends on how well you understand the terms being used. So you need to get fluent in these languages in order to make sure that you have mastery of these things. Now, there's also the time trap. You have 230 minutes to complete 180 questions. Let me do quick maths. How many hours is 230 minutes? Please convert to 30 minutes to hours. Fastest finger. You can drop your answer in the comments. We don't know the answer. Oh my goodness, Susan. Susan is a math genius, undercover math genius. Yes. So about 3 points. It's hours. Okay, Ibrahim has a different opportunity. The move time when to communicate. Oh wow, sorry. Coming back. Hi everybody, is this better? Can you hear me now? So sorry about the break in transmission. Oh goodness. Hmm. Is Sophia still on? David, is Sophia still on?
I think we lost her a bit there. I think
All
she's
right.
trying to, reconnect.
Okay.
Connect.
While we're waiting for her to reconnect, do we have any questions? Are we still following? Are we getting a sense of how it's going? How we can prepare for our exams? Okay. Sophia says I should take over for about 5 minutes. She'll be back. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what is the most correct answer and what is the correct looking answers. Unfortunately, and whether fortunately or unfortunately, the the PMP questions will have at least two answers that look like it should be correct. As long as two people are having a conflict and there are two answers that do not say break the other person's head, right? What should we do? I'm going to share the exam content outline with us for a bit, and we'll see how this works. Let me move it and change what I'm sharing. Where do I have it? Sophia, are you back?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. I was about to show them the exam content outline, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave the link in the chat so you can continue.
Yeah. All right. Can you still see my screen?
Let me share. I'm sharing screen. So I'm sharing
Okay.
on the time trap. Yeah.
All right. The time trap. Yeah. So we're talking scenario complexity, and I was saying that it's possible because you have like a lot of application based questions. It's very, very possible. In fact, not just possible, you expect to get questions with answers, with confusing answers, with answers that you have two or three answers looking the same or looking correct, and you get like you get confused. And how can you combat this? By constant practice, like we said earlier, by getting used to certain terms, getting the situational context. So you can only achieve this by consistently practicing. I want us to do a quick test. There's this practice question I found. It's a very simple practice question, but it could serve as example. Can we move to the next slide? All right, so let's take a look at this question quickly. Which of the following is not an effective way to build trust within virtual teams? A, spend some part of the meeting focused on building relationships and learning about other team members' capabilities. B, help people manage conflicts, dealing with any that arise and not avoid them. C, ensure that team members feel empowered to make and act on decisions. D, hourly, daily, and weekly check-ins with your team members. So which do we think is the answer? Okay, someone says C, someone says D. Divine says D. Okay. Are those all the answers we're getting? Roseanne says D. Sanderson says B. Remember, the question is, which of the following is not an effective way to build trust? All right, time's up. So the correct answer is D. The correct answer is D. You can't build trust by hourly, daily, and weekly check-ins with your team members. Do you even have the time as a project manager?
to be doing that every time. You are checking on your team hourly, and your team is supposed to be self-managing. So praxis allows you to. Susan says you feel crazy. Exactly. So practice allows you to come in contact with questions like this consistently. This kind of question can be a little confusing because it makes sense, really, if you're thinking about it logically. I will check in with them now. That's how I'm going to build trust. And there's answers that just seem so similar. So if you come across questions like that, without, even if you don't have like the direct experience, consistently practicing helps you get context. And this is another reason, or this is why you need that strategy to pass your exam. Let's move on to the next one. Next slide, please. Yes, the weighting shifts. We've agreed earlier, or we've discussed earlier, that we have 3 primary domains: the people, the process, and the business environment. Now, these different domains don't carry the same weights. Project carries 41%. Process carries 50%. The other one carries 8%. It's just like when you're in uni and you have a 4-unit load course. The way you apply yourself to that 4-unit load course and what you have a 1-unit load course is not the same, because you know that a B in that 4-unit load course can tank your GP, and you can apply the same idea to this. So when you know that most of your questions, 50% of your questions are coming from the process domain, over 40% of your questions are coming from the project domain, will you now focus your entire energy on business environment? So you need to understand these things and see how you're going to manage your energy and manage your efforts. And that's another thing that you can do through consistent practice. And finally, stamina management. 3 hours exam. Oh my goodness. Has anybody written a 3 hours exam at the stretch here? If you have written, please raise your hand. I have, so I know what it feels like and how hellish it can be. Your Butola also has. So I don't need to explain to you how exhausting it can be. It is tiring. It is tiring. You need to be able to, you need a strategy to manage the fatigue. Answering question in one place for over 3, wait, was I saying 3 hours? It's actually more than 3 hours. 3 hours, 3 hours, 50 minutes, or 3 hours, 80 minutes. I know. Sorry, what we said. Yes, 3 hours, 50 minutes. Exactly. You just want to be done and over with it. And at some point, you don't even care, you just tick away. This has happened to me before. So you need to figure out a way to manage that, to build your endurance. Everything is practice. At the end of the day, now that I'm thinking about it, writing PMP, practicing for PMP is like growing a muscle that you don't even think that you have or you're able to even grow. So you need to, that endurance muscle, you need to practice it. You need to structure your own sprints as well. You have 2 10-minute breaks. So what do? Walk in sprints. Eat. You see, this is what I was saying earlier about EBA. If you're going for your PMP exam, please try and load yourself properly. Give yourself energy. So exactly like Bisola is saying, so you don't start seeing double. You need enough sugar to manage that whole experience. So practicing will help you do this. Susan has mentioned earlier, don't do 20 questions, 50 questions, 2 hours, 1 hour practice and think you are on the right track. Remember what we said about practicing wrong and practicing right. Do 3 hours at a stretch. Build capacity. If you are doing just 20 minutes, you are not practicing. You're practicing for nothing. It's not PMP you're practicing for. So do those 3 hours at a stretch and see how far you can go. All right. So let's look at some study strategy nuggets. First one, have a study plan. I love this quote so much. I've been using it from secondary school days. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And this also, applies in this case. You need to have a study plan. How are you going to achieve this goal? You need to have a plan for it. How are you going to manage your time? Especially for those of us that at this point in our lives, we have so many commitments. Some of us have families, we have high pressure jobs. If you don't make a plan, I'm sorry, it's going to be so difficult for you, because one of the things I've learned is that you have to create an environment. You have to create the environment that supports your growth, that supports your progress. So if you're in an environment where you know that it's going to be very difficult, what are the things that you need to do? Do you need to put together a timetable, print it big in front of your table, in front of your just beside your bed, so when you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing that you see? Do you want to have a dedicated time where you lock yourself away and you speak to your partner, or you speak to your parents, or you speak to anybody around that? This is my dedicated time, please don't disturb me. You follow your plan like it's the 10 commandments. So it's very, very important for you to have this. And the crazy thing about having a plan is, if you don't have it, you won't know you need it. When you have it, you see how easy it is, because your brain automatically helps you allocate and helps you, plan, and knows that, okay, now this is the time for this. So even when you're doing something else, your mind is automatically reminding you that you have dedicated this time for something. So you are prepping yourself and you're conditioning yourself mentally to do this as well. Next slide. Study between 1 to 2 hours daily, 6 days a week. Susan has said something too as well. I keep referring to, because he has covered most of these things as well. If you don't have 1 hour at least a day to dedicate to this, you're going to struggle. And it's a fact. It's not a curse. It's not, nobody's jinxing anything, but it's just what it is. Because you can't pass if you don't practice. You can't pass if you don't study. So that 1 hour daily, if you have to do it early in the morning or later in the night, whichever one works for you. Some people are nocturnal, some people are not. I mean, it depends on you and your capacity and your environment and how you're planning yourself. So make sure you have at least 1 hour dedicated to studying, at least. And this is exclusive of your 3 hours at the stretch practice. Remember, you still have to do your 3 hours at the stretch practice. Now, this 1 hour is dedicated to your contact, your 35 contact hours or your 60 contact hours. This is what you're using to practice. You're using to take lectures. You're using to brush up on all the things that you've probably forgotten. And you are doing this consistently. You're saying, this 1 month, I'm dedicating it to getting what I need to get and getting it over it. And again, like Susanna said, we all have the capacity to do hard things. If you know you can do hard things, raise your hand or respond with an emoji, or just put in the comments, I can do hard things. In fact, print it as your affirmation. Add it to your journal, your affirmation notebook, whatever it is you use to remind yourself of who you are. You can do hard things. Now, thank you, Susan. Now, for your PM Box 7, that's not the only thing you need to practice. We said this earlier. You need to add it, combine it with your Agile practice guide. You need to also do a lot of scenario-based mock questions. This you can get with your PMI study hall. I think once you've registered, I think you should have access to this, right, Susan? Once you've registered, you should have access to the study hall.
No, it was a free gift for
our last students, people that
Oh,
if you're getting the access to PMI study hall is about, I think, $50, right?
oh,
Okay. So yes, if you want to get access to this, it's about $50, and this is actually great because you get to practice with scenario based questions. Next, Sanderson is asking if she can get reading materials and study practice questions before the boot camp, like immediately. Susan, do you want to take that? Oh, okay. So as soon as you make payment, you can get access to this, Sandra. All right. Yes. Practice, practice, practice. Fail fast, fail early. In this case, failure is not a bad thing. In fact, the earlier you fail, the better for you. And you're not just failing, you are failing strategically. Please, quote me. Don't just fail, fail strategically. What does this mean? When you do your practice test and you are failing, please note the areas that you are failing so you can tell where your strong points are. Am I struggling with the process domain? Am I struggling with the project domain? Or is it the business environment? And this is how you build your strength. This is how you know, oh, okay, I'm not too good with this area. I'm going to go to my PM book to learn about it, to study it up. And that's how you continue to go. And you realize that the more you do that, the easier it is, or the easier it gets for you, and your score keeps growing. So don't be afraid of failure at all. Don't be afraid of failure. In fact, be happy to fail, especially in the earliest part of your study process. Be happy to fail because now you know that you can identify your weak areas. Let's move on to the next one. And now this is a requirement. You need a 35 PDU course to register for your exam. Now, luckily for you, Zeno Consulting, we are an authorized training partner for PMI. So you can actually get these requirements by joining our class. We have a 5-day PMP training cohort coming up soon, and we also have the boot camp as well. So for the 5-day PMP training, we cover everything that you need. All the domains, we discuss everything in the 5, but it's like a crash course, back to back to back for 5 days. So that's like a 9 to 5, I think. Yeah, that should be like a 9 to 5. You're in class with us and we discuss and we go through everything in depth. You have the opportunity to ask questions. We run through practice exams and all of that. We also have the 2-month boot camp. Now, this is a more longer paced course. We still cover the 35 PDU course, but we do it, it's not as intense as the 5-day one. So we have that on weekends, I think Fridays to Saturdays. And the beautiful thing about this our 2 months intense boot camp is that we build a community around this for you. So you're able to join the community, ask questions. You have like a support group, you have people. We help you with your application. This also applies to the 5-day PMP training. So we help you with your application. We make sure, so like for example, some of you that had questions about, oh, you have 2 years experience, but they're requiring 3 years experience, but you've been in the corporate space for longer. We're able to guide you through this process. And Susan, you're going to have to forgive me for this, but I'm doing it anyways. I was thinking about it, but I think it's something that we have to do. So for this class specifically, now this offer is not going to be available outside of this class. So for people in this class only, people that have attended this class only, typically our 5-day crash course is 400,000. Our 2 months intense boot camp is 500,000. For this class, strictly for this class, we are slashing this price. So you'd be able to get the 5-day PMP training at 250,000 if you're able to register before Thursday, because the cohort will be starting soon and we already have people on that class. So you'll be able to join this immediate cohort, especially for those that are planning to write before July, August, before the new PMP, the new PM book is updated for the exams. So 250,000 naira for those who will be joining our upcoming 5-day PMP cohorts. For our intense boot camp as well, if you're interested in that one, we can have a conversation about that as well. We are open to giving only, please note, Sophia, please forgive me. Please note that this is only for the people in this class. I beg. Outside of this class, this is not valid. In fact, only attendees, not even people that registered, only attendees. That offer is available and it's valid till Thursday. So if this is something that you're interested in, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and we'll walk you through everything. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Okay. Oh, please go back. Yes, if you want to get more information or you want to register, so sorry about that. I'm going to add the link. Susan, please, can we go back? Yes, you can just quickly scan this QR code to register. Okay, David, please help us drop the link to the form in the chat so they can easily access that if they haven't scanned. So you just click the link. If you have an interest in that, you can just easily register. We'll reach out to you and talk to you about next steps. Okay, so we can move on for the sake of time. Okay, so now let's talk about study method. Like I said, you can practice wrongly. How do you study? You want to have the first thing that you even want to do. Remember, you don't need to know your PM book cover to cover, page to page. You don't need to know how all the answers before you do your practice test. First, identify where your weak areas are currently. So when you're studying strategically. That's the first thing that you want to do. Now, once you've identified your problem area, what do you want to do? You want to have a study plan. You want to break it into phases. So you have the foundation where you understand the concept, the language. Remember what we talked about in language and how very important it is, in dealing with certain confusions and how that can help in application questions. Now, scenario-based questions as well, you want to practice. You want to include this in your study plan. So now you're using your study hall to practice and you're putting yourself in those contexts and building the PM mindset. So that's another thing that you want to do. Now, another thing that I want to do, Susan will always say something. I'm quoting Susan. Susan, why are you in my head? Routine will save your life. Routine will save your life, and that's exactly what you want to have. That's exactly what you want to do for this. You want to have a routine. 3 to 4 days. Yes, you're practicing for 6 days out of the week. So you're saying 3 to 4 days, I'm going to learn. 2 to 3 days, I'm going to practice. 1 day, I'm going to review and catch up. And that's how you plan yourself. That's how you make sure that your learning is structured and it is focused. So, and this is the roadmap that you're going to be using to study. All right. So this whole process now, it includes what you are doing on a daily basis, the live classes, your practice and review as well. So these are all of the things that are covered under the study method. You can take a screenshot, you can put down notes, but then we have something nice for you later that would help with this. Yeah, let's move on to the next. So have you registered for your PMP? Now, there are two options when you're registering for your PMP to write your PMP. The first one, you can go to a testing center. Sophia, if you can hear me, I'm taking over. Sake and for the sake of your sanity, we would recommend that. Guys, can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you now. Okay, thank you. All right. So, for your sake, in fact, Susan, do you want to share with us your experience during the online proctored exam? Okay. Just so that you don't run mad, just go to a center. You need to find a center, except you can guarantee that you will have perfect internet. You're not going to have a child running behind you in the middle of the test. Somebody's not going to knock at your door. Somebody's not going to call something. Naturally, you should have your phones. But if you don't have the option of an on-site center close by to you, then of course you need to take precautions to arrange for the online proctored exam. So something happened when I was writing an online proctored exam. I was thinking and my eyes went up. The AI recognition saw my eyes looking away from the screen as meaning that probably I was talking to someone or something like that, and my exam was discontinued. I explained, tire. I wrote it until they allowed me to retake the exam without additional costs. But you wouldn't want to go through that kind of headache. If your internet gets switched off on during when you are in a physical venue, the organizers of the exam will just come back and you continue from where you stopped. No issues at all. So it's much safer, it's much calmer to do it at a physical venue. From my personal recommendation. All right, thank you so much, Susan. So to avoid story that touch, please, it's recommended that you do it at a testing center. But if you're doing an online proctored, please try and make sure that your desk is completely clear and you know that it's just you and your computer. You want to make sure that, like Susan has mentioned earlier, nobody's running around you, no moving objects or anything that is going to interrupt that whole process. Run a system test. Let it not be that when you're writing your exam, that's when village people now decide that they want to pound yam on your matter. Run a system test. You should not be having motherboard issue when you're writing exam. Make sure that whatever laptop, desktop. Oh, okay. This is another recommendation. Don't use your office computer. So they also work through why. There might be so the system that takes over that runs the exam, the person view system takes over your computer, and your office system might flag it because of security measures from your company. So it's better to use a personal device when you're doing the online proctored exam. Exactly. Be mindful of your body language. Don't look up, don't look at the camera. Don't look like you are cheating or you are talking to somebody. Just face your computer and do what needs to be done. You can't use a physical scratch paper like a notepad or anything in this case. So you can't jot down, you can't write anything. You can't try to walk through your process via notes. So you have to take note of that. Make sure that your connection at least 30 Mbps consistent at least. So make sure, check your connection and make sure that you have strong internet. Then for online testing centers, try and arrive there very early. Don't be distracted. Verify your ID. Use the noise cancelling gear if that is provided. And you can also take your notepad with you. You can jot things down. You can, try to work through your process. Sometimes there are calculations, even though you might not really need it, but you can easily do that. Another thing that is very important that is not listed here, and is very important for your own sanity, is to have a good attitude. It's possible for you to be nervous, and it can affect how you appear or how you go there. But it is very important that through it all, you're maintaining a good attitude for your own sake and for your own sanity. So make sure you're doing that. Let's move on to the next. We're almost out of time. All right, so like I said, we have a free gift for you guys. This is something that we've prepared for you, something that has helped us ourselves. So we have prepared a prep workbook for you, an exam prep workbook for you. And this would allow, we talked about your study method and how you should manage your study time and track your progress. We've created a workbook that will make that easy for you. I'm going to share my screen quickly so I can walk you through what that looks like. If you are a person that prefers writing, you can easily print this out and write on it. If you are the kind, okay, am I sharing the correct thing? Okay, it's not me sharing. If you're the kind that you don't mind doing that, you can easily edit it. David, please, can you stop sharing so my screen can, yeah. So this is the workbook. So step by step, end to end, you can use this to practice for your PMP. So at this point, you have your name, your target exam dates. Are you using the test center or online proctored? What's your preparation window if you already have a date? 4 weeks prep, 8 weeks prep, 12 weeks prep. What's your target score? Do you want to pass above targets, above all in all domains? So set that goal for yourself. I would recommend above all in all domains. Aim for the moon. I can land on the roof, Abby. How many hours you have to study? What PM book are you using? When is your exam scheduled? So these are just quick notes to remind you of what the plan is. So on Sundays/Mondays, that's when you use to fill your weekly schedule. So you use that to plan for the whole week, your plan for the whole week. So what are you focusing on for this week? What is your target for this week? Which domain are you focusing on for this week? Which week areas are you focusing on for this week? And then daily, you are logging your study, your practice questions, and your topic progress. Then weekends, Fridays, Saturdays, you're assessing your week and you are adjusting the week and logging all your mistakes. So these are basically the 3 things that you're going to be doing. That's been covered already. So this is just giving you your exam at a glance, everything that you can expect from the exam. So this is the updated one. So for people that are writing PM Box 7, this is what to expect, the percentage per domain. For those writing PM Book 8, this is what to expect. So 26% for business. Imagine from 8 to 26%. So you know that you need to spread your efforts almost equally across the different domains. So this is also a summary of that. You can jot this down, what exam timeline applies to you, and what does that mean for your study priority? So your application checklist as well. Do you have this? If this is direction, your status, has this been met? Do you have your 35 contact hours of PM education training? So you update that so you know where you are at on the application checklist and what is left, and you can easily track that. Your study notes as well. So here, let's say week one, you're working on the foundation, mindset and framework for maybe the process domain. So you are reading your exam course outline. So on Monday, what was done, is this done? So you do that for your uh, for your the idea of the we get the idea of the workbook, right? David, can you share the link to the workbook for those who PM? Sorry about that. David, are you still with us?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Okay. So I was saying that I think we all get the idea of the workbook. Can you share the workbook link for the rest of us? All right. David, over to you to close.
All right, thank you very much, Susan. Sophia, we lost you there. Feel free to join us whenever you can. Again, that's hopefully we are still here. Thanks to everyone for being on this call to this point. Please note that on this call, you now have two free gifts. The one is the offer Sophia made that I'm sure we are going to call a meeting for right after now. And then the second one is this free workbook. Please, the link is in the chat box. Let me see. Let me make this quickly. Let me also put the barcode for us here in case we want to scan. All right. In case you want to, you can scan this barcode to download. Please do this within this week because after this week, it would not be available for download anymore. So click the link in the chat box or scan the barcode showing on your screen to download your copy of this, the PMP exam prep book. And then thank you once again, everyone. So our facilitators, we say very much thank you to the faces that look familiar here. That are, I'm seeing them. I'm like, I've seen this face before. I've seen this face before. Hi to all of you. And as we go to sleep, please remember, don't celebrate Valentine tomorrow if you are not ready to write your PMP exam. Spend the day locked up in your room, reading and studying. That's a very wonderful investment. Love is not what you feel in your PMP exam. Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. All right, all right. Nice, everyone. Please let's do something real quick. I would like you to unmute yourself and say hi to someone on the call before you log off. We have about 1 minute to do this. So I'm going to be calling some people. You can just randomly say hi to someone.
Hello,
Hi. Thank you. Name that. Hi, Amo.
Bye,
Hi,
Samuel.
David.
Hi,
Oh,
Foto.
Hi, Susan.
yeah. I thought
Hi,
about it.
Aida.
Hi, Immaculate. Hi, Ruth. Ah, hi. Oh, all right. I remember that one.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining. It's been a wonderful time. Hi, Anita. Thank you all. And we'll be ending the meeting now. Have a wonderful night rest and see you soon.
Bye.
Hello, hi.